Hi, my name is Paulette Amos Gross. I'm the CEO of the African American Chamber Foundation. I joined the African American Chamber in 1999, officially 2000. And I came in as the chairperson for the women of color. And I did that for about 6 years. And then all of a sudden, they asked me to be the treasurer. And then I went from treasurer to vice president and to president, CEO. And we started in 1979. What the chamber does is we advocate for small Black businesses in Stockton in the San Joaquin Valley. And also what I found to be a good thing for what the chamber does is when I had my business out at the Juneteenth Festival one year, they came around and asked me to be a member of the chamber. And I thought that was so wonderful that they were trying to get me involved in the community things that we do in the chamber. And then they said, come on and be a member. And so I've been a member ever since. And then I've been advocating for the small businesses in the San Joaquin Valley for education, for economics, and for chamber development.
I'm Louetta C. Wood, and I've been with the chamber now for a little over 3 years. And I love the fact that the chamber is founded on 5 pillars. And with those 5 pillars, it consists of accessing capital, entrepreneur training, contracting, membership development, and advocacy. And so with that, it kind of helps to cover all 5 of those. And during this pandemic, it seems like so many different things happen so fast, and the small businesses, African American business, was not getting any assistance. So we looked at the what was going on in the community, and we started interviewing chamber members and started trying to see how we could help them. And from that, we developed a checklist in order to go back and have something to measure it with. And through that checklist, we found that 3 out of the 5 pillars was what the members was having problem with. And number 1, they was not accessing capital. And then we found a lot of the paperwork and things was not in line. So we need to do some entrepreneur training. And then from that, we also had to go back and do chamber development. And that chamber development was where we continued to work over and over again. So we developed this checklist and started going down the list. And we realized that there wasn't record keeping was a problem, and reason why they wasn't able to access capital. And so when all those began to tie in together. And so after putting our task force together, we started going to each member and helping them. We developed training classes for them so that they could actually attend the classes. And with this, we weren't able to do classroom training, so we had to do Zoom training. But it still was a way to get that information out there. And so the number 1 was record keeping, telling them, teaching them how to get these records in line. How can we help you? And then the next part was being able to credit repair. Because you can have all those in line, but your credit is not good, you're not going to be able to access the capital. And so with that, and then with the chamber itself as a whole, we continue to work on developing the chamber. We start looking for leadership within the chamber, and we start bringing in great people to be able to teach from within. And where we didn't have the strength within, we was able to pull from the outside. And so we had everything that we need within. So now we're moving forward. And so with that, we're just excited about it to be a member of the African American Chamber. We have several levels that you could start at. And one single person would be $125, and that's a year. But it get you all the training, everything that you need. And one good thing about it that we also found during the checklist is that there were no brick and mortar. So we actually started with the chamber incubator. And so with that, we have rooms available that they can rent. You can have your sole room, or if you just have a smaller business, you can have an incubator and share with someone else, which is called our shared space. So it starts at $125 all the way up to, depending on how many employees you have, and everyone would be able to join in with that. Our next classes that we have coming up, we will be preparing a business plan, because we have a lot of people that is interested in that. We also have Day About Your Business coming up, which is our youth, and we would be appealing to those to kind of train them for the upcoming after they graduate and then going through school. We also have Multicultural Festival, which bringing in and all the different cultures coming together. So I'm excited about the chamber. I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm very excited to be able to help the community because that has been my goal. I'm retired now. I've been retired now for almost 2 years, and I just able to give my time back to the community, which is so passionate with me. So that's what I have. I love God, and I love helping people. And I'm a member of the New Greater Love Church of God in Christ, and I just enjoy being able to help God's people, especially those that cannot help themselves.
And for the first time, the chamber is going to have their first high noon tea. Just check with the chamber to see what that date is going to be announced.
And we're also very excited because for the first time, the chamber actually received resources from the community. So we, on Wednesday, we was awarded, the chamber and the community nonprofit organization was awarded a $165,000 grant so that we can actually help out to give back to the community. Some of the nonprofit organization in the area, and that was through our Mayor Tubbs, and the Stockton Strong Coalition, Bank of America, AG Spanos. They all came together and decided to help us. We're actually building a digital website along with a Black business directory. So each and every person can go to our website, which is AACSJ.org. And when you go on that site, membership is up top. You can click on that. Further down in the page, you will actually see the Black-owned business directory. Put your information there. That is all free. Everybody can be a part of that. You don't have to be a member, but we encourage you to do so because there's a lot more benefits that we will be able to share with you.
African American Chamber of Commerce.
Woo! Happy anniversary!
Hello. I am pleased to welcome you to the reintroduction of the Stockton, California chapter of the Links Incorporated. My name is Fionn Davison, and I'm the chapter president, and I am accompanied by Glennis Dove, our vice president and program chair. The Links Incorporated is an international organization of professional African American women, founded in 1946, that is devoted to strengthening African American communities through fundraising, education, and advocacy. The Links chapter supports civil rights organizations such as the NAACP and others, and has worked to increase appreciation of the arts and recognition of African American artists. Since its establishment in 1966, the Stockton chapter has dedicated their efforts to our national goals, friendship, and service. The Stockton chapter of the Links Incorporated is committed to bettering lives and serving the communities of the greater Stockton areas, San Joaquin County, and Stanislaus County through education, volunteerism, programs, and initiatives. And now Vice President Glennis Dove will now reflect on chapter programs.
The Links Incorporated programs include 5 facet areas: the arts, health and human services, international trends, national trends, and services to youth. The Stockton chapter has received first place, best practice, and single facet awards through the years for their community service programs. Project Gold, a mentoring program for single mothers desiring to further their education. Project Lead, an effort to close the academic achievement gap of middle school students. Safe Schools, a junior high tutorial program. Healthy for Life, a childhood obesity prevention program. Haven of Peace, a woman and children's homeless shelter mentoring and support program. Rosebuds, a student mentoring program, to name a few. In addition, the chapter has hosted a community human trafficking forum, spent countless hours providing training on sidewalk CPR, and provided scholarships for graduating high school seniors.
Currently, Our focus is the importance of being counted. We must be counted now. We must double our efforts to complete the consensus application. Why? We need a complete count to make sure that the system works. It is beneficial for future generations and to make sure our children are counted. Census is about money. It determines the funding for emergency services, Medicare, Medicaid, education, healthcare, Head Start, lunch programs, response to emergency disasters. Census is about money, political power, and resources. Census enforces our voting rights. Are you aware that $3.3 billion are lost each year due to the low percentage of African Americans, people of color, not completing the census? Our African American communities and our communities of colors are lagging behind due to these low percentages of census participation. Let us not diminish how we are counted. Please do your part to complete the census application. It's easy. It only takes less than 7 minutes. And please vote because we matter. Thanks to Stockton Black Family Day for this wonderful opportunity to address you today. Thanks for being supportive. And congratulations on your 52nd annual Stockton Black Family Day.
Hello, my name is Deidre Davey. I am the first Vice President for the NAACP Stockton branch.
And I am Bobby Bivens, President of the Stockton branch NAACP. And we are here today to be a part of the 52nd anniversary celebration of Black Family Day in Stockton, California.
Now, the U.S. Constitution requires that every decade we count our country's population. By April 1st, every household will receive a notice to complete the 2020 census and be counted. The NAACP Stockton branch is urging you, the community, to respond to the census. Our objective is to get a complete count. The NAACP Stockton branch has partnered with the City of Stockton and San Joaquin County to target the hard-to-count community. This community includes the Black community, the Latino community, the LGBTQ community, immigrants without legal status, and every person in the United States is counted, including babies and children, foster care youth, incarcerated people, college and university students, people in nursing homes as well. So what is at stake? When we are undercounted, our communities are underfunded and underrepresented politically. Over $600 billion in federal funding annually goes to state and local communities. Every issue that we as a Black community are concerned about is affected by financing that comes from the census. This includes Title I funding for schools and education, classroom sizes, breakfast and lunch program, Head Start, healthcare facilities, the number of hospital beds, Section 8 public housing, food security, SNAP, AmeriCorps, and so forth. It also affects a number of Congress people that we represent in our area and electoral college votes we receive for presidential elections. Census data is also used as, can I start over? Okay. So census data is also used as
I'm gonna ask you to start like clean from census, take a pause, and then start.
Okay. Census data is also used as genealogist to trace ancestry and family origin. So let's talk the numbers. Currently, we are at a count of 62.1% in the city of Stockton. In 2010, around the same time, we were at 64.4%. In San Joaquin County, we're currently at 64.3%, and in 2010, at the same time, we were around 66.5%. 2010, San Joaquin County Black community had a low census count. So in the last census, nationwide, over 3.7 million African Americans were left uncounted. So it is imperative that we do not leave the funds on the table. The funding can truly change our community. Now, starting August 9th, people who have not responded to the census will receive
notice. They will receive door knockers. They will have people coming to their house so that we get a complete count. And the additional importance of it is that every person is worth $1,980 per year, totaling $19,860 over a 10-year period. So you don't want to miss your $19,000 over the next 10 years worth of services in the community.
So we have the ability to create the future that we want to have in our neighborhoods, but we have to be counted. We have to be civically engaged. Once we are counted, we have to make certain that our family and friends are also counted. So there are only 9 questions for the census. This will literally take you less than 10 minutes. During the 2020 census, the Census Bureau will never ask you for your Social Security number, money or donations, anything on behalf of a political party, your bank or credit card account numbers. And additionally, there is no citizenship question on the 2020 census. So you can respond in one of 3 ways. You can respond online at www.2020census.gov, by phone at 844-330-2020, or by mail. If you received a paper questionnaire, just return the census form by mail. Some activities that the NAACP Stockton branch has done to reach out to the Black community is we have posted information on our social media sites at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We sent email information. We give information at our membership meetings and meetings with different organizations. We have done a car canvas. We have did door knocking with door knockers, phone banking, and contacted the local Black churches. So the NAACP Stockton branch challenges you to complete the census as soon as possible. If you have completed the census, make sure that your family and friends have completed the census. We currently have a challenge for everybody to reach out to 20 people to make sure that they have completed the census.
We're asking the pastors of every church to participate in the 2020 challenge, and along with the Church 75 program that we have for the voter registration and voter education that Professor Evan Wade spoke to. We also have the 2020 Census Challenge for each pastor to get each member in his church to reach out to 20 individuals that are in their family. And it's okay if you get asked a question once, twice, 3 times, as long as the information gets in. And for those of you that have family members that come from other countries, be it the Caribbean or from Africa or from Europe, wherever, the citizenship is not a requirement. We just need to count the number of people so that we get the representation from our congressional representatives. We may get more representation if we get more numbers in. We also know that the census information does not go anyplace. Let me repeat this. It does not go anyplace but to the Census Bureau. No other organization or agency can have access to that information. So again, I'm supporting what Deidre is saying and what Evan has said. As the president of the Stockton branch, we ask that you please fill this out. It is important for our community. Otherwise, you're going to be having raggedy roads, you're going to be having worse conditioned schools, and we're not going to have the kind of medical care or medical services that we need from the census. The NAACP is involved in all types of programs. You say, why are we involved in the census? Why are we involved in voter registration, voter education? Because those things directly impact the Black community. The NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, but we say colored people come in all colors. The NAACP's primary focus is on African Americans in this community and in most communities. However, the founders of the NAACP were 50% Caucasian and 50% Black. So the NAACP is not a Black organization. And as we have moved through the civil rights struggles from 1909 to today, we have had all types of people, ethnicities being engaged in the right for Black people in America. You ask, why does the NAACP keep the name of colored people? Well, the reason we keep the name of colored people is the same reason Coca-Cola keeps the name Coca-Cola. We are one of the largest brand names in the world. We are the 11th most recognized brand in the world, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. So it is a business name, it is a corporate name, it is a brand. We will always have the name, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. What other kind of issues are we involved? We're involved in economic development issues. Those are major parts of the NAACP's program, wealth building within the Black community. Just this week, we're engaged with the city of Stockton and in partnership with the African American Chamber to identify some Black nonprofit organizations to receive some funds that were donated by Bank of America and the A.G. Spanos Corporation. Yesterday, there was an announcement, $165,000 is going to the Black community for nonprofit organizations. So those were listed and they will be listed again. And if you look in the newspaper, you will see them. We're involved in housing projects. Deidre is not only the vice president of the NAACP, but she is also the president of the Central Valley Realtors Association, which deals with housing issues for Black people, housing advocacy for Black people, housing developments, fund generation, so that the Black business people that are in the housing industry can be a part of this multi-billion-dollar trade and industry. They're not just engaged in the developments, but in the selling, but also educating people on what you should do to buy a house, but more importantly, how do you maintain a house? So there's a partnership between the NAACP and the Central Valley Realtors. You just heard me speak of a partnership between the NAACP and the African American Chamber of Commerce. We're here in partnership with the Stockton Black Family Day. we partner with organizations throughout the community, the nation, and the world. Some of our major programs are related to health. In this country, to get the promotion and cures for AIDS, the NAACP was the organization that was out there fighting for AIDS and AIDS education. When we had the LGBTQ issues, the NAACP is the one that at the national level and at the state and local level fought for equality for gay and lesbian people, in spite of the fact that we are tied to many churches, church organizations, and some of the clergy were unhappy with that. But we believe that all people deserve to have their equal rights and civil rights, and nobody should be violated. We deal with it from a civil rights matter. We don't get off into the religious or the moral fiber. We just know that everybody deserves to have their civil rights not violated. We're also very much involved with the youth. Every year, the Stockton Youth Council has a youth summit where over 500 kids are involved in a one-day-long youth summit where we bring in speakers, nationally known speakers, but also hold workshops for education, training, job development, and for them to learn to know their rights so that they're not violated by the police or intimidated by the police. We're involved in criminal justice. Right now, one of the major emphases that we're working on is the no bail issue. We've been engaged in that for over 5 years. Even right now, the San Joaquin County just went back to the bail status after the California Judicial Council allowed them to bring back bail. And our county jumped at it, and we are the second highest bail charging county in the state of California. So we are working to get that reduced and to get the bails for non-violent offenders removed so that people are not incarcerated before they're ever convicted in the county jail. We also are dealing with the district attorney's office and making sure that there's prosecution of police officers that commit crimes against our citizens, and particularly our Black citizens. We have been engaged, and we did a 10-point plan just a couple of months ago that partially was adopted by the Stockton city manager. Starting in September, we will have in the city of Stockton a 25-person city manager's police committee to have oversight over the police, a working task force to make sure that various criminal aspects in the police department are addressed, as well as developing additional policies for better policing for our community that matches and fits in our community. We are, in fact, holding the police department accountable. We have been meeting with the sheriff's office. We are working with them to hold them accountable. We're involved with the Board of Supervisors. They're sitting on $16 million that should be coming out into the community. We are dealing with the Board of Supervisors to make sure that there's equity and there's distribution of those funds and they don't just set up in the bank and draw interest. So we are all over the place. Many times people say, well, what is the NAACP doing? Or why aren't you doing this? Or why aren't you doing that? Well, first of all, if you become a member and you get involved, then there's a piece for you to work in, whether it's health, education, criminal justice, religious affairs, housing, you name it. We have a place for you to volunteer your time and work to bring about a difference in the city of Stockton. We are the oldest Black organization in town. We were formed here in Stockton in 1931, October the 23rd. We're older than the Port of Stockton in the city of Stockton. We are more valuable to our community than any other organization. They are all valuable, but we happen to be engaged in all those areas, and we have a national and international brand that's behind us that brings about respect by those folk that make major differences, particularly in the economic community. We're engaged with the banks. We're trying to get them to work better and make better loans for our people. So the NAACP again, is out here doing the work. And I want you to all clearly understand, we are all volunteers. Nobody is paid. We are volunteers. I've been your 20-year volunteer president. And sometimes my wife asks me, what did you do for us at home financially today? Because I'm out doing what I like to do, and that's to try to bring about justice for Black people. So with that, I will close out. And when you're asking, what are we doing? What are we not doing? You know, if you have a dog and your dog is a little mangy, scroungy dog because you don't feed him, then your dog is not going to fight for your house. Your dog is going to let the thieves come in. But if you have a pit bull or a Rottweiler or a Doberman Pinscher and you feed him well and he loves you and you stand up, then if somebody tries to come into your house, that dog is going to tear them up. We are a big dog branch. However, the question I have to ask you that want to know what are we doing is, have you fed your dog lately?
So we want to celebrate our men in the NAACP Stockton branch. They put a lot of time and effort in the work that they do. They're constantly sacrificing time with family, vacation time, or what have you, to make sure that the community is included and that they have somebody to represent them in all the capacity that we work in. So I want to thank them. I want to thank Mr. Bivens, who has been doing this for 20 plus years. He has attended city council meetings, board of supervisor meetings, school board meetings, and the list goes on and on. There's not a meeting, I don't think, that happens in Stockton that Mr. Bivens has not attended. But it's important to be present at those spaces, because if we are not present, if we don't have somebody there to represent us, then we are not included in the conversation. So it's important for us to not only support the organization, but to support the individuals that are in the organization, have given their time to the organization. As Mr. Bivens had mentioned before, this is all volunteer work. So we have a number of men in the branch that I love and support. They are my big brothers, my uncles, mentors. So I just want to thank you all for the for what you do for our community. And I want to thank Black Family Day and congratulations on your 52nd annual celebration.
As I think about the NAACP, I think about the presidents that were here before me. And if you come to our office, you will see listed on the wall every president that has served in the Stockton branch since 1931, when the organization was founded. Many of them have been ministers, many of them have been lay people in the community, but they have all been committed. And I want to pay a special recognition of thanks to all of the past presidents of the NAACP, and living at this time still here in the city of Stockton, to name a few, are Ralph White, Jesse Neighbors, Reverend Bob Haley, formerly now deceased Reverend Willie Douglas, Cordell Bunton, Todd Summers. Those are the men that I know that were presidents, and Mr. Reverend George, Edward George. Those are the men that are still living. And I missed one again, Mr. Percy Barrow, that are all alive, most of them elderly, but they served the NAACP in Stockton prior to my serving. And they are the ones that laid the groundwork and made sure that the organization was in place when I got here for me to get elected and keep moving the organization.
My name is Rondy Scippio. I'm president of Stockton Esquire Club. Club's been around since 1961. That's 59 years of helping youth in the community. Our primary goal and objective is to help young people to flourish and grow in the San Joaquin Valley. We do that by giving scholarships every year. I think in terms of organizations, we're probably the largest donor or contributor towards scholarships for students each year. We give anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a year in scholarships. As a matter of fact, the last 4 or 5 years, we've been averaging about $20,000, $25,000 in scholarships every year. We also have 2 events that support those causes. One is a golf tournament that we have in August of each year, and we also have the Esquire Ball in the second week in December of every year. Again, our organization's been around a very long time. We have 1 charter member who is still with the club, and his name is Ben Reddish. Ben's been a faithful member for the entire 59 years. So you'll hear about the other charter member who died about 3 years ago, and that was Colonel Cleveland Edwards. He has a very good reputation in this town. And so that's the Esquire Club. I'm a transplant here in California from North Carolina. I was born and raised in a small city called Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Winston is the name of a cigarette, and so is Salem. And if you know anything about North Carolina, those 2 names are married to come up with 1 name. We also was a tobacco manufacturer there called R.J. Reynolds, and that's where they were headquarters. And that's who made Winston and Salem cigarettes, along with Camel cigarettes. I actually worked in a cigarette factory during summers when I was in college. And, you know, a good thing about the cigarette manufacturers, they were very good about hiring college kids during the summertime to come in and work. And both of my parents worked in the cigarette factory as well. And it's very, very good life. I left North Carolina in 1973 and went to college at Bethune-Cookman College down in Daytona Beach, Florida. Spent a year there, and I was yearning to go to a bigger school, so I went to the University of Tennessee and finished my education off there at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. You know it as the Tennessee Volunteers. You see that football team. Then about 3 or 4 years later, I came to California on a permanent basis. I came out, and I was originally out in Oakland, so my brother was living there, and I stayed in Oakland until I found a job up in Sacramento working for Xerox Corporation. And I worked for Xerox for about 5 or 6 years. And then I went to a number of other big Fortune 500 companies. Another one was Dean Witter Reynolds as a stockbroker. I did that. Worked for MCI Corporation for a bit. Then I decided to start my own firm, and I went into medical sales, and that's what I've been doing for the last 23 years. I've been in medical sales, working in nursing homes, working with the therapy departments in nursing homes all over the country. Once upon a time, I had about 8 or 9 employees at one time, and was earning about $1 million a year, which was good income for me. I was happy. And all of my employees were happy because I'm one of those bosses you want to be working for. So, because I'm a real laid back guy. But here in Stockton, we had that. Also had a contract with the state of California, providing lunches for firefighters on the wildfires. And we did that for about 4 years, which was a very interesting, very nice income stream, as a matter of fact. And we did that, opened a restaurant here in Stockton, out on Arch Road, called Ramsey's Firehouse Deli. Very, very nice. We invested a lot of money into that restaurant. Did not pay off long term, but we learned our lesson. We paid cash for it all because we were cash rich. So me and my partners, had 2 partners at the time, You might know Mark Britton and Anthony Neal. My partners, we still, work on different projects from time to time. But that's basically my background. Came to Stockton in 1990, and I've been here ever since. So the first group of people who I met were people at my church, and at the time I was going to Ebenezer AME Church on the corner of Stanislaus and Channel Street, downtown Stockton. The first Black church in Stockton, actually. So in that church, we had a group of men who were very distinguished. And one was Dr. Elliot Chambers, Colonel Cleveland Edwards, Percy Barrow, and James Gorman. Those guys were really, they were like uncles to me. Their wisdom was very, very deep. They had deep knowledge. Colonel Edwards was the Deputy Director of Human Services. And of course, Dr. Chambers was a professor out at Delta College. And so those were my main influences in Stockton when I arrived, was through those guys. Since that time, I've met some other guys who are pretty significant people in my life, who always have been really just good people who you can always fall back on, like Tony White was a very, very good guy. I mean, still is a very good guy. One of my close friends, and Eugene Ross. Then all of my contacts in the Esquire Club. I can't go without mentioning them because these guys are the pillars of the community. You had Leon Ross. He's well known here. He's no longer with us. Ellis Cooley, no longer with us. Bobby Smith. Just all of those brothers. Oh, no, let me not forget Floyd Weaver, who was vice mayor here. And he was probably president of the Esquire Club for almost as many years as I've been now. So I'm coming up on his legacy. That him, and of course, Ben Reddish. Awesome guy. So those are the guys who influenced me. I looked up to them, and I would always, if I needed to know something or have a feeling about something, I would go to them. And they would tell me, they said, Ronnie, here's what's going on. Here's how you understand this. And I found that brotherhood of having that group of people who you can go to with questions, collectively and individually, because it was more individual, but the collective was the Esquire Club. The collective was the Ebenezer AME Church. But individually, those relationships is how you get that information. So you form relationships with people individually, but the collective was awesome because when I was in church, I was the head of the trustee board at my church, which meant I did a lot of work around the church, and very, very nice people to meet and to get to know. So those are my influences here in Stockton. So my fondest memory in Stockton would probably be the Asparagus Festival. That's where I met the current flame in my life. So obviously that's gonna have to be right on up there for me, volunteering at the Asparagus Festival. The Asparagus Festival was always good things. Another good thing in Stockton was the entertainment they had at the fairgrounds. They used to have some really good entertainment. I could go out and sing to Smokey Robinson when he was here, and Kool and the Gang. Other good groups who came, and those were all good memories because I like to sing. So that was good. So the Asparagus Festival would be number one. Entertainment would be number two with concerts and things. And then another more recent one would be the concerts they have at the waterfront with Michael Newman, that promoter. Very, very nice concerts, jazz. Those memories are ingrained in me. Of course, I love music, so That's going to be something big on my plate there. So, brotherhood is one of those things that when you use your own thinking, you have just your thinking. But when you get the thinking of multiple people, now you have a whole different perspective on whatever the subject is, because other people look at things differently and no two people look at it the same way. That's huge, because I would go to Mr. Edwards and he would tell me something about the same subject. Let's say we're talking about investing in real estate. He would tell me something about it. Then I'd go to Dr. Chambers and he'd tell me something, but it was totally different. Now, when we talk about brotherhood, who you get your information from is key. If you could imagine, if you're getting all your information from people in prison, that's going to be different kind of information than you would be getting from people who were successful in whatever. So you have to, some among your peers, among the people who you got to, the brotherhood has to be, who are the people you're listening to, and what's their background. And so brotherhood is very important. That's what makes the Esquire Club so important. Other fraternal organizations have a similar type of thing as well, because you get in the fraternities, you got a group of guys who graduated from college, and it's different than a group of guys who've been sitting on the corner all day. So what I suggest, and I tell my sons the same thing, I said, listen, surround yourself with people who know something. Surround yourself with people who are doing things, because you're no better than that circle that you're in, and the weakest link, that's you. The weakest link shows how strong it is, and your circle is. So what you want to do is make sure that your circle is very strong. So I always surround myself with strong men, because when I have a need or an idea, I can go to them. And that's what the brotherhood is all about. Think about organizations like the Ku Klux Klan. What they're thinking about hate. That's all they're thinking about. So they're sitting around thinking about how I'm going to hate someone. That's a brotherhood. They say it's a brotherhood, and it is. But if you change that from the Ku Klux Klan to the Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, it's a whole different thing that you learn and you grow. And so it affects the surrounding community. It's going to affect you, your family, everything else. That brotherhood will, depending upon who you choose. So manhood is movement from being a child to a man. So for children, everything is provided for. Men are expected to be the providers, okay, as opposed to a child. So that's what manhood is, a provider. How you provide, what you provide, that's totally up to you, because you create the world that you live in. So when you're talking about manhood, you can be a lawyer, a doctor, you can flip burgers at Burger King. You're still a man, okay? But you can be that provider, okay? So when I talk about manhood, that's what it's all about. There's a whole lot of aspects to it, though, that goes below that. Relationships with women, relationships with clergy, all those things come under that manhood issue. But overall and overarching, I'm just looking at one thing: being a provider. You need to provide things, and that's what they expect. Somehow, another womanhood does the same thing, by the way. The only difference is the gender. The life you're living is the one that you created, and you can change that at any time. Anytime you want to recreate your life, you have to take the steps that's necessary to do so. So there is nothing that you can't do, and the limitations that you have are the limitations that you put on yourself. Whatever you say you can't do, you cannot do. That's absolute. I agree 1,000% with you. You can't do whatever you say you can't do. But when you say you can do something, you're working on it. So today I may not be able to run a mile in 5 minutes, but if I say I wanted to do that, I could work and make that happen. So that's the biggest thing that in a life lesson. I think I told my sons, I said, listen, You have to decide what you're going to do with your life. And once you decide, go after it, go do it. And don't let anything stop you, because there's nothing that stops you from achieving your goals other than yourself. And I'm happy to report that both of my sons listen to me. And one is very close to being a doctor, and the other one is a network engineer. And I mean, I would love for both of them to be a rich, wealthy person, but they're doing what they want to do. And they make the kind of money that they want to make, and they live the life that they want to live. And that's up to them. They can change it anytime. And that's the lesson. That's the lesson of life. It's up to you. It doesn't matter about police violence, someone trying to hold you back. Those lessons have already been shown. No one can hold you back. You're the only person that can hold you back. You are. So it doesn't matter what your education level is. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that you need to know in life is that go out, get what you want. You know, if you want to have 20 kids, guess what? You can have 20 kids. It's available. If you want to have one, you can have one. But that's up to you. If you want to be a good father, you can be a good father. If you want to be a bad father, guess what? You can do that too. And it's all up here. It's all what you say you're going to be. That's the bottom line. If you say I'm going to do something, go do it. And that's what you will do. I align myself with people who say they're going to do something and actually trying to get at it. You know, all the other people who just want to let life rule them, those aren't people in my circle. I'm with people who are trying to do things, are pushing forward. And those are the things that I do. That's my thinking. My values haven't changed over the years. Family has always been important. And in a lot of ways, family is the biggest mystery that you'll ever have, because you got so much crap happens in families, but that is important still. You know, so with all the mess that come with a family, it's still the most important part of my life. It's having that good family relationships and family ties. You know, and as a result, of course, I talk to all of my siblings almost every day. I have 4 siblings, so it's not a lot. Almost every day we talk, even though they're not here. They're in cross country. I have one brother who's here in Stockton. But I still think that's the most important thing. And I wouldn't do anything. There was nothing I wouldn't do for my family, you know, that I'm capable of doing. What makes me cry? Insensitive people. Yeah, insensitive people. People don't get it. That's the worst thing in my life. Probably people don't get it, you know, that you can just be whatever you want. Why don't you just choose to be good? Why not do that? You know, and that part is a mystery to me, you know, why people choose some of the things that they choose to do. Not just to me personally, but to other people. The George Floyd killing, for instance. Why would a person do that? Why would you put your knee on someone's neck? Why would you do that and just sit there? I don't get it. You know, so no, those are the kinds of things that touch me.
So when you saw that video, what was your first reaction?
I was shocked. Yeah, again, why would anyone do that? I don't get that. Why would you do that? I don't understand. Shocking. That was my reaction. I wasn't angry at all. I was shocked that someone would physically stand there with their knee on someone's neck. Person's already told them they can't breathe. And you just sit there. It's all good. I don't get that.
But am I likely?
So yeah. You know, again, you got this racist theme going through this country, where a black person can't do what white people do. And unfortunately, that needs to change. When we talk about race relations, when you talk about Ahmaud Arbery in particular, it's the same kind of thing. Why would you be chasing this guy? You knew what you were going to do. You came with the guns, and unless he submitted to you like a slave, you knew what you were going to do. You were going to shoot him. That's why you brought guns. If you don't bring the guns, guess what? He would be alive. But no, you brought the guns because you knew what you were going to do. You had a plan there. But see, racism in America is, I might be the biggest racist in America. I might be. And I've come to realize that because I look at things in racial terms. But because I realize it though, I'm probably not as racist as I was a year ago because I began to question my own racism. What does that mean? That means I just look at people, that's a white guy over there doing something. Well, no, it's a guy. It's a guy doing it. As long as we look at things, oh, there's an Asian guy. Oh, we're gonna go get Asian food. We're gonna go get Mexican food. No, we're gonna go get food. It just happens to be at a Mexican restaurant. So it's a little different. Now I see the racist tendencies in my own self, and it changes how I look at the world. So a lot of the things that are going on today, I look at them in a totally different manner now because I try to stay away from the racist attitudes that people have. And I try to encourage other people, don't look at people by their color, judge them by their character. And when you're talking about, you say, oh, a white person did this to me, that's a very racist statement. Just like you saying it's a black person doing it. Okay, that's racism. So that's just my thoughts on racism. It's evolving. So you would need from a black woman the same thing you need from any woman. And that's the key for me. That is, support me. Support me. Support me. Let's live in love. Live in love. Let's not have an antagonistic relationship. Let's not be at each other's throats. Live in love. What the things you want, the things I want from you are the exact same things you want from me. Believe it or not, it's no different. I want to love you. I want to give you my life totally and completely. But I can't do that unless you do that for me. It's a symbiotic relationship. You love me, I love you. Our love get deep. I'm thinking about you all day. I don't want to think about going home and I got an argument coming. I want to think about going home to my woman who's waiting for me, happy to see me, like a puppy. Like the puppy's happy to come here, I'm gonna lick you as soon as I get home. Well, isn't that what you want from your man? You work every day. When you come home, don't you want that man to be glad to see you, happy to see you, and sort of, quote, lick you? I'm not, you understand, like the dog reference. That's what I'm trying to say. Show that you're happy to see me. Let's raise a family. Let's raise that family. Let's show our kids that we love them. Same kind of thing. We're going to support them the same way. But it's not a black issue. But unfortunately, we are black. And in this country, everything has been reduced to this race thing. But when you get out of this country, not so much. You go abroad, you get in Europe, it's not so much black. It's you're a woman. You got the woman thing. I got the male thing. Okay, but it don't matter that you're what race you are. So much. Here that's a big thing. So we have been ingrained with this racial thing so much that we believe that there's some big difference between what a man would want from a black woman. It's no different than what you want from a white woman. Only difference is maybe that white women haven't been under the constructs that we've been under, black women and black men, obviously. we've been, we're suppressed. We're the suppressed race. And unfortunately, because we've been suppressed, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that suppression. We don't have the same economic opportunities. They just don't abound the same way that you see in the other communities. But it's the same thing. I want from a Black woman the exact same thing I want from any other woman. That's all. Same thing you would want from a man, it's the same thing I want from a woman. Figure that one out. Let that sit in for a moment. It's no different. I want somebody happy to see me, who's gonna love me, take care of me, who's gonna lay in bed with me at night and tell me things that's gonna make me feel good, make me happy. That's what I want. Same thing you want. No different. So if we get man and woman out of it and just realize it's people. It's not black and white, it's not Chinese, not Mexican. It's the same thing for everyone. At least that's what I believe. Now, making that happen in this world, it can be very testy, because there is that image about Black women are different. Black women ain't no different. They're not any different. You're a woman. That's what you are. Your skin color may be a shade darker, but you're still just a woman. And there's no such thing as some special thing about women. That's about Black women in particular. But that's what I believe we've been cast under, that kind of thing. More Black women going to go out and vote. We're the soul of the Democratic Party. Women are the soul of the Democratic Party. I believe that. Believe it. If there was something that I would want to share, it would be is that your destiny is in your own hands. What you decide to do will make your future. And I'll leave it right there. It's up to you. Make a difference. I'm doing COVID, by the way. I've learned 3 new things. And that's what I set out when I said, I've got some time on my hand. It's time to learn something. So there were 3 things that I said I'm going to learn. One is learning Excel, because everybody uses Excel, but you don't know about Excel programming, right? How to program in VBA. Man, that's what I've been learning. They say I'm a master at it. I'm not a master at it. That's what they say. That's what the course say. You're a master at this VBA. I'm not a master. I've been digging into photography, learning more about. I've always been an avid photographer, just with a picture camera, a Nikon camera, and started out with a Minolta 102 in college, a single lens reflex camera, silver body. It was nice. Anyway, reminiscing, and so I learned more about photography, and cooking, vegetarian cooking is the other thing, vegan cooking. So nutrition is important. So those are the things. Make something out of your life. Do something. Those things are going to change my life because I can write some programs now.
Hello, I'm Samuel Reaves. I'm a Stockton, California native. Born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. And my business is photography. I capture people's photos and try to capture the moment. So I've been doing photography for the last 7 years, and I love capturing people and, getting their facial expressions and stuff. And also I do music, and my music name is Quick Strike. And that's how my photography company come about, the QS Photos, because my name is Quick Strike. I've been doing music for 20 years. But I can tell you a little bit more about myself. It started when I was here young, Stockton. I come to Stockton about age 5. I grew up without my mom, without my dad. I pretty much was in foster care, a foster home. And then my dad got me out, and he brought me to California, and he dropped me off with my great aunt, who I call Granny. So I grew up without mom and dad and pretty much free, wild. And I went to Montezuma Elementary School on the south side. Grew up on the south side. And then from there, I went to Hamilton. This is the south side as well. And then Franklin High School and a little bit of Edison High School. So I'm south side out, south side Stockton. And growing up was pretty tough in what we call the South Side of Nightingale, especially since I didn't have too many positive role models, but made it out made it out somehow. And now I'm here to tell my story. And I think my life relates to my business, photography, because I've seen a lot of things. And a lot of times I would imagine it like as if I captured it like a picture, but you can't share it with other people. You had to express it in a different way by telling a story or something. But with photography, I can capture something and then show you it. And hopefully it translates to what I've seen, my art or my lifestyle of how I've seen it. So music, it all started when I was about 7th grade. I was playing basketball and I believed I was gonna be a basketball NBA player. I practiced all the time. And one day I got hurt, injured my ankle, and I couldn't play music. And one of my cousins came by my house and he was like, hey, let's go to Circuit City. I wanna go buy something. So I go to Circuit City with him and we're just roaming around the store and I seen a keyboard. And it was just a little simple keyboard. And I was playing on it. And I made a composition right there in the store. And it was like mesmerizing. I was like, wow. And it was just like the electronics, and I figured it out. I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. And then one of the store people were like, oh man, that sounds good. I was like, yeah, and I got addicted right there, like boom. So I came back the next day and I made another track. So eventually I would come back every day to the store because it was summertime, summer break. And I would have my own little zip floppy drive and put it in there and save my sounds. And I would go every day, and the guys was like, man, if I had the money, I would buy it for you because you got skills, and man, we see you have a real passion. And I was sprung. So I got a job. I think I was 16. Got a job, and I worked like a hard construction job. I injured myself again. I stepped on a nail at the job. But luckily, I was working there like a month, and it was pay time. So I had to let the job go. And I bought the keyboard, and I was at home with my little thing on my foot, and I just making music every day, all day, just for, man, like 10 years. Just all day, every day in the room. Just loved it. That's how I got into music. Growing up and without your mom and your dad, I grew up with my great aunt and, well, her husband, but he had a stroke, so we were kind of taking care of him. But growing up in a household like that, when I would go around my friends and I would see them interacting with their parents and, their mom and dad or just their mom, I can realize that I had a disconnect of certain values or of things that traditional families will have. Like, when it comes to Christmas time, I'm just the only kid and I'm not used to having to show that, like, have a present for you or just certain things, the birthdays and coming together, families coming together. I'm just not used to because our family is so separated. And so when I would see my friends and their families have those events, I would feel something like wow, I would like that in my life. And when I would see that they're not respecting it or not embracing what they had, it kind of made me feel like, wow, why wouldn't they realize this is special, I don't want to go to my family event, I'm like, man, you should, that'd be awesome. We do this all the time. It's something I was missing. So I really seen that, how it affected me, especially growing up. So I noticed what really helped me young, going to the YMCA and after school programs. I would go to those all the time and get advice from the helpers and stuff like that. And then also as I got to be a young man, I'm still a young man, I'll tell nobody, shh. Okay, so I would meet people, elders, and at the community events. I would go to different community events because I just wanted to go swimming or, different activities. And like a fellow named Mr. Lattimore, Sensei Lattimore. So he's a great male figure who helped guide you in the right directions. One of my close buddies, he's about the same age as me, but he's had a lot of wisdom, and he helped me with a lot of different situations and advice in life. His name's Brandy Owusu Spencer. We got Darius Williamson, very great with the community. And these people who helped me guide and kind of mold me into the directions I needed to be on the right steps. There's many more, but definitely male role models, positive role models will help you go in the right direction. And I'm noticing that over my lifespan, that the people who you're around and associate with will pretty much mold you to what direction you're going to go. So it's real important that you have the right people around you. I'm going to lead different things like audio, visual, and then taste. So I'm leaving like the senses. So putting my art into things that could be physical things, tangible things that you can go back into time and see QS photography, quick strike music, tea, things like that, tangible items. And then same thing for my kids or family. Trying to help them realize the importance of things that people can have and remember you by. Because I think tattoos are cool, but I would rather put my tattoos on the art painting. That way, maybe 4,000 years from now, somebody can find them like, man, look at these caveman people and this artwork. What encouragement I would have for the youth? I would say, make sure you pick your friends wisely and you stay to your family close. I know there would be tension and times where you feel like you don't need them or need anyone, but it's very wise to have a lot of people in your circle that you can reach out to when you need to, or just in general, because your network is your net worth. And literally, the more people you know, the more financially free you'll be. And it's not just about financially. It can be, your family and sharing. That way, when things do hit the fan, you can reach out and they can help you out, or you can help them out, because your family's everything. I mean, you can have friends and family, friends and associates too, but the thing with family is they're always going to be there, even though you're going to have rough times. So just network and reach out to people. So when I watched the George Floyd video, it was one of the many videos that I have seen and circumstances that I've dealt with in real life. So when I seen that, I was almost to a point where I'm not as sensitive. I'm desensitized to seeing it. So I'm very familiar with it, and it doesn't affect me as much because of the way, it's been so much in my life since a young kid. But the difference about this situation is that so many other people viewed it and they got to see firsthand what it feel like. And it seemed like the environment was different for this situation. But for me, I've seen a lot and I always thought that this is it. But I feel now that to be respected as a community, that we need to come together and it's come together and just gather together so people can respect us. So we have to respect ourselves so they can believe to show the respect. Because it seems that, like a young man like myself going to the store and I ask for something and, they don't take you serious. And I believe it's a respect thing. It's just, we see you guys, how you guys treat each other, and you're not respecting each other. Why should I respect you? So that's what I feel. I've been involved with police interactions where it wasn't so pleasant. I always try to conduct myself well so it wouldn't escalate. And I'm a people person where I can kind of read your body language and I can see what's going on, so I can know when to hush up. But I haven't got any bad cops. But I have friends and family who have, and their stories are not good. It makes you worried, when you see the police, like, I don't want to be another number or another story that you read about in the newspaper. I talked to my son and my daughter about the situations with the law enforcement and how to act, but it's to the point where it's so well known. They're already saying, "Oh, I know." It's just like, "Oh, I don't want to have to tell you this." Like when you're talking to the police officers or any one of law enforcement, is that you need to just cooperate and and answer properly and try not to give them too much back talk. Well, don't give them any back talk, and keep your hands on the steering wheel or whatever they ask of you do. And I feel that's injustice for us, for one, because I feel like that's violating our rights. I don't really feel that's appropriate, but that's what we must do until we can gain our respect. My fellow brothers, is reach out reach out to one another and talk to each other about your situations and your feelings and your pride. That way we won't escalate, you know, for maybe being embarrassed or someone, you know, disrespecting you. Because respect is high in our community. Just reach out to other ones, talk about your feelings and your problems. That way it can communication, it can de-escalate things a lot. You know, the more you communicate, talk about things, talk over things. And emotionally wise, you know, it'll cause a lot of things not to happen. We celebrate the Black women a lot, but when it comes to Black men, it seems like we have to take the brute force of all the weight, and which causes not to talk as much and just do. And that's a problem, because without the communication, the problem is that things won't get done properly. It's more force, because being submissive or passive aggressive eventually makes you, you know, aggressive completely. So by it being like mutual, you know, mutual content of talking back and forth, it'll help things. So like just in this setting of us talking with Black men of the community to understand what are the needs and how can we talk in general to make things respectful, and that's how I believe to make things work. So for Black men, what I would like to say is that, and Black women talk to your Black man, and Black man listen to your Black woman. All right, I'm Samuel Reaves, also known as Quick Strike, QS Photography. And we'd like to sign off by saying we want to celebrate Black Family Day 52 years. Wow.
I am Ronnie Smith, and I am here today because of one reason only. I am the co-owner of Natural Dew. And Natural Dew is one of the best, I'm talking about magnificent, African-American owned hair salons on the planet. And it's innovative. So innovative, it's revolutionizing Black hair, Black women hair, Black hair in general for centuries to come, because we need to get back to us. And that's what this is about, getting back to us. So I'm only here because, you know, I happen to luck up and marry the next Madam C.J. Walker. So for y'all that don't know, now you know. Though I love Stockton. Yeah. Stockton is dope, man. Stockton, everything about Stockton is like it's like for the time that we're in this world and where we're at as African Americans, Stockton is special. It's really special. I just hope enough of us realize it, to how special this is. I mean, Stockton is dope. You know what I'm saying? The Stockton is wide open for whatever you want to do. Me, myself, and my family, we're in the hair care service industry, and Natural Dew was a great place to come and be the incubus to make sure that this concept was viable, right? And whoever better else to start with than us in a place that people don't want to show love to, but the great opportunity to hear. So we just came to prove that and to make sure that, you know, we take Natural Dew to the top, and it'll be because of Stockton, you know. It'll be right because we're here and we got everything, the processes and all the upfront work done here in Stockton. And then, you know, while we're on our global journey, you know, we'll always give credit and credence to Stockton. Why? Because they gave us our start, they gave us our shot, and, you know, they were really, really instrumental in helping us get off the ground. Coming from the Bay Area, it was what I also understood about Stockton is that this is where really the talent is. A lot of people don't know that. Stockton's got a lot of integral people come from and pass through Stockton, right? A lot of integral people in any industry, whether it be agriculture or the music industry or TV, television, all these people, when you find out in these industries, they come and pluck stuff and people from right out of Stockton. You know, this is what's crazy. Stockton has that microphagy program. It's only 2 on the West Coast, 1 right here in Stockton. Where else do I can go and take my kids, send them to school, So, hey, you don't even have to go to a 4-year university. Stockton has a 2-year certificate program for microscopy, guaranteeing you to make $100,000 right after you finish. That's right here at Delta College in Stockton. My kids go to one of the top 50 schools right here in Stockton, right? Stockton Collegiate right downtown. I mean, Stockton's got great opportunities, great things going on for it. Real estate here is great, it's prime.
Yeah.
Real estate is prime. The business culture is prime. They got the second largest port on the West Coast here. I mean, are you serious? Stockton is where it's at, you know? We just come together and utilize all our tools and resources, you know? I mean, and think about Tubbs, how you get that? The youngest African-American mayor in the country of a city larger than 100,000 people. I mean, that dude's young, on his way. Oh man, you know what just came to my mind? It was awesome. So, Natural Dude, we did a screening party for Black Panther. And just to see the support of everybody, because we packed that thing out, we sold out. We sold out one of the largest theaters in the AMC Downtown Theater. We sold that thing out. But the real trip was to see how many African-American beautiful people and couples and families were coming out alongside. People who couldn't get in, they still came out and supported at the same time, and they was going to see the movie in other theaters. That was one of the dopest things I've seen in a long time. It made me feel proud. I was like, yeah, they coming out and Stockton representing this thing. You know what I'm saying? So the unity and the love and the acknowledgement is there of, you know, the culture and, you know, and our achievements as a people. I run into all kind of stuff all the time. Yeah, of course. I mean, the last thing was the being harassed by the police, you know, for no good reason, just because I'm Black. I mean, that happened a few months ago. I was pulled over at 2:00 in the morning, coming from my job. And the police was like, where are you coming from? Have you been drinking? Stick your head out the window. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why ain't you follow directions? What are you doing? You know, it was really strange. You could tell it was some nefarious stuff going on, but, you know, luckily I pulled in front of a, you know, and it's crazy because I'm more cognizant of stuff like this. I pulled into a well-lit parking structure. Like, oh, no. Made sure cameras pulled right in front of the door. So I was like, no. This is crazy. So, you know, that was 2 months ago. And all I'm thinking is I'm trying to get home to my family. Trying to get home to my family. There's a waking up of accountability for anybody in authority, right? I think that's what you're really seeing like this season, or the spirit of accountability is really coming across, like, because the reality is, and whether man, woman, child, police, president, whatever, you're gonna be held accountable for the things you do, right? Why? Because as the earth is purging, right, and only goodness and greatness are gonna remain, right? This wheat and the wheat and the tare, it's getting sifted. You can see it. It's getting sifted right now. It's getting sifted. It's getting purged. They're purging this stuff. They're like, oh, okay. You're not gonna continue to treat me like this. The crazy thing is that I shouldn't have to be willing to die for you to respect me. You respect my life. Just I shouldn't have to be willing to die for you to respect me. That's it. my father and my grandfather, first and foremost. I am a junior, so Ronnie Smith, senior, and Sullivan Smith, very, very integral into the decisions I make today, and that have brought me this far, as well as, you know, a host of my uncles and you know, some friends, even my football coaches, my teachers, some great friends that I serve with. One of the best guys I ever met was a friend of mine by the name of William Nathan Hill. And he was the first one to show me that it is cool to be in love with being a family man. You know, that dude was in love with just wanting a family. I was the first man that I ever saw that's all he ever wanted. You know, like like women want to be a wife I was the first man I ever met that's all he ever wanted was just to be a family and to raise his family, have his kids, and instill in his kids his values, you know, and give them purpose, you know, and support the Black community in a way. I was just like, oh man, that was my guy. You know, he showed me a lot, gave me a lot. And then, you know, I got my cousins and stuff. One of dude right now is actually my cousin Duran. I give a lot of kudos to that dude because he is one of the most level-headed people I ever met in my life. Like that dude. So when I'm going through some stuff, I definitely pick up the phone and get that dude a call. Because he is, you know, he ain't gonna steer me wrong. Not no way. And he understands, you know, what I want to achieve, and he understands what I want to be. His advice is about that. The importance of brotherhood is or the relevance of brotherhood is right up there with food. To be honest, I mean, it's important because, especially as I'm not middle-aged yet, but you know, I'm not no spring chicken anymore. So understanding that as I go through issues and situations that are new, and my father and grandfather aren't here to support me because of their passing and stuff. Not my father, but my grandfather. So understanding that I'm facing a lot of stuff alone for the first time, and understanding that being able to reach out and speak to other men and bare my soul and understand that there's help and that I'm not alone, and you know, understanding that it's kind of like a peer-to-peer, you call it peer-to-peer counseling, because that's really all we got. You know, everything is placed on the Black men. I love Black women and I appreciate Black women, and y'all doing y'all thing. And the reality is that a lot of Black men help get you guys where you are. I'm not saying that some haven't done it by themselves, because that is definitely true, but a lot of Black men, we just go unsung. We do it because that's what we're supposed to be doing. At least the ones that I know, I encounter, I deal with. That's what it is, man. I can't, you know, I'm not really taking care of my family if I'm not taking care of you, you know. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it is. Love your natural hair. Love, for real. Love your natural hair. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm going to be honest with you. There's nothing more attractive to the opposite sex than confidence. And when you love yourself, you're just confident. The reality is, this is what all men, that's the secret. Confidence. If you ain't confident, you know, it's got to start there. You know, reality. Y'all got it. you can do it. You know, if you can think it up, you can achieve it. You know, it's not as hard or as difficult as you think it is. Once you're done with a task, it's never as difficult as you started out. You come to realize, so that's it. Just keep pushing. Do whatever you want to do. Understand you're gonna need other people, so look for other people that can help you and motivate you and push you and be a comrade to you and link up and do what you gotta do on all levels. But it starts with you. I just want to leave to my kids a legacy of being them. And successes, whatever they define it. So I just want to say thank you to Black Family Day, 52nd anniversary. Appreciate you. Thank you very much, ladies, for letting us have a day this year. Appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? We understand that you guys are the backbone.
How y'all doing? My name is Jefferson Strickland. How old am I? Just turned 42 years old, born and raised in Stockton, California. No longer live here, but always come back home, very active in my community. Executive Director of Lions and Queens Incorporated, nonprofit where we just service our areas, our community, and really try to give back and try to help cause change, some of the friction that's been caused throughout the years. Well, Lions with Queens was formed about maybe 5 years ago. The intent behind it was actually, what inspired us to recreate it was a funeral. One of my close friends' brother was murdered. At the funeral, I was across the street talking to people of my generation. So as we turned around, we looked back at the church. It was our younger generation, like our little brothers, kids, stuff like that. And it was like something clicked. It was like, man, this is our fault. When I addressed it to my friends, he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, man, they're just following our footsteps. I was like, our actions caused this. And if anybody's gonna fix it, it has to come from us. It has to come from the ones who helped cause it. And from there, I was like, I gotta do something to at least attempt to make my wrongs right. Lions with Queens was birthed out of that thought. The main focus of Lions with Queens was to create a support system for our youth. I realized growing up, a lot of my decisions was based on who supported me, whether it was good or bad. Where my support came from, that's who gained my loyalty. I realized that a lot of kids fall short or make wrong decisions because of their support system or lack of. So got together, with a group, my president and the vices and stuff, and started brainstorming about ways we can change or what's really needed. And a big part of our process was just realizing, a lot of us didn't have a support system. So let's create one for future generations. The name Lions came because I didn't want to use the word king because I feel kings is being overused and misrepresented. When I come into think of a king, I think of a ruler, a person who had people underneath him, servants or whatnot. And I just feel like to keep using the concept king is creating a level that some people are not gonna reach. And also creates a division of us and them. Because to be a king means you have to be above somebody. I chose the word lion because a lion in concept is almost the same, but it's teaching our young men to protect what's yours. To be over what's yours, to protect your pride. As your family, do provide for them, make sure that they're set and that you leave a legacy for your pride to continue to grow. I used the queen was just because I look at women as queens, it's a standard, a mind state that I feel is being laid down over the years through the generations. And with creating a support system and to mentor and to teach our young men and women that, there's something great inside you. Everything that you need is already there. So we want to create a platform to help bring that out. One of ours with the food is our cross-bearer program. And that just came just what it says, a cross-bearer, somebody that's bearing the cross, or, the other people, picking up their, helping them ease the load. So with that program, families reached out to us, go through a little process, and we provide food or clothes or whatever they may need help with at that time. When we first started the program, it was, we had a kind of, I would not say lack of support, but lack of people that was willing to be helped. We ran across a problem where people didn't understand why we wanted to help them for free. Literally had a 30-minute, I guess you could say, argument with a lady who needed our help. But she just couldn't understand why we wanted to help her and we weren't asking for nothing in return. So after that, things started changing for the most part. We still run into them, to them walls that some people just don't like. The concept of somebody just helping you just to help, is so thin now that people just really don't know how to accept it. Our other program is the Lion-Minded Queen Standard, and that's really our mentor program. And that's just us empowering our youth, to look at themselves and rise to another level. Then we have our Unity and Community Days, where us and other organizations, coalition, come together. And we just throw big events in communities, to let the community come out and just see each other from a different lens. Come out and enjoy themselves as a community, as family. We bring out jumpers, food, local vendors, and we pay the vendors so they don't have to charge the community. So we just ask them, hey, we'll pay for all the stuff you're going to use or you're going to cook, so you don't have to charge the community, and just let everybody come enjoy the event for free. And we started off with about 100 people, and our last few events hit around 1,500 to 2,000. So it's been going good. Well, growing up, I grew up in Field Arms, East Side Stockton. I said I've been here my whole life. I had a few positive influences, but I also grew up in an era, where drug and gang banging hit, and it hit Stockton tough. So I kind of was in the tug of war of which way I was gonna go. Didn't make the best choice at the time, but I still remember people that really poured into me, stuff they taught me back then, like Ozzy. Ozzy was a big influence growing up. Worked at Stribley, real big influence, black male. Taught us a lot, respect, how to carry ourselves, how to handle certain situations. And I was young at the time. I didn't realize it till I got older, what he meant. But I was grateful for him. Hector Roach, big influence. He was one of our older homies, came home from the pen doing time and stuff, but his mind was different. He always reached out to us and tried to help guide us in a different path when he seen us. Cal Parker, Brian Muhammad, they was big in our neighborhood on the east side. They taught a lot of young men how to play baseball. They were my first baseball coaches, taught me how to pitch, play shortstop. Ended up being really good at it. But they took what it meant to be a coach to a different level. They took it beyond the sport, and really used it to guide us, pour into us, educate us on life in general. Them was some of the lessons that even to this day, I'm 42, back then I was like 11, 12, that I still remember and, hold them in a high place of respect. One of my eye openers was my last year in jail, actually. Sitting in there, one of my older homies came in, but he was like 60. I was like 28, 29. So he like 6 years old, right? And when I seen him come in, I was just like, dang, he been doing this since I was a kid. And then it realized like, you know, if you don't change up, this is you, this is your future. And it was like, you know, it's like, it hit home like, oh man, like, you know, I don't want to be 6 years old, you know, still dependent on the streets to survive, you know, still trying to hustle and coming in and out of jail. And I mean, I already had kids, you know, I had my first daughter, I was still in high school, you know, but seeing that and realizing as I looked around in jail and just realized like, you know, I've been doing this in and out since I was like 13, 14. And at that time I was like, man, I'm like 29, 30. Like, look how many years I gave these people, or look all this time I gave them that I can't get back. And I was just like, you know, life has to be better than this. I really didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't really know how to change. I just knew life had to be better. And that was like my wake up moment. Yeah, like when it come to trust with men, I didn't have it at all then. I'm working on it now. And just really just the life, you know, the lifestyle that I lived, it just didn't allow us to really open up and trust like that. I didn't have a lot of positive male figures growing up, as far as ones inside that's close. You know, like my coaches, you know, that was, you know, I'm not seeing them every day, all day. So a lot of the relationships I had, as far as men, you know, came from the streets. And me watching how they maneuver, you know, taught me like, okay, I got love for them, but there really can't be trust, which doesn't make sense now. But then it made sense. Like, you know, I love them. You know, I'm willing to die or lose my life, you know, to the system behind these men. But at the same time, I know better than to trust them, because at any given time, you know, it can go bad and it's going to be me against them. So I grew up with that way of thinking. You know, I had a few people that I felt I can go to, depending on the situation was, but them same people that I felt I could go to were some of the very individuals that had me doing what I was doing in the first place. You know, so yeah, the trust wasn't there. The brotherhood, I believe, is important now, because the concept that we use in the streets and in the hood has to be greater now that we're doing something positive. You know, a lot of people don't really understand why young men join the gangs. And it's not really about the block or the hood. You know, it's about the connection made, you know, the bonding. You know, we don't look at the other dudes on the block as, oh, that's just a homie, you know, that's family. You know, a lot of us grew up as kids together, you know, so it's like, once you get that bond, that relationship of family, you know, I'm like, I'm gonna protect him like I would protect my brother or sister. How do you show love? I think love and trust is like twins. That's really, you can't pull apart. How do you show love? I truly believe love is an action. You show it just by really trying to give your best to a person, regardless of the situation. It's tough because, I mean, love is a word used that I don't feel a lot of people really understand the meaning behind it, right? And what it takes to really give it, and understanding how fragile it really is, and you know how love can be broke if misused. Like showing love is, to me, is also being willing to adapt to fit somebody else's situation. You know, like in marriage, it's like, okay, we're not, you know, I'm not married to somebody I grew up with. You know, and then it's even more different, you know, when y'all live together, because now you're, you know, the fronting is gone. You know, it's when you date, you front. I feel my best behavior when I see him, and make sure I'm always looking nice, you know, smelling good. But you know, once y'all get to living together, otherwise that stuff is not present. You know, you ain't sitting there like, oh, let me make sure I smell good. You know, you walk around your wife stinking and everything, you know. So when you start learning a person, the real person, you know, it takes real love to compromise and be willing to adjust. to accommodate that person, to make that person feel comfortable in herself. You know, I know a lot of situations where people don't feel comfortable with the people they're with. You know, it's like, well, how could I love you, or how could I show you true love if I'm making you uncomfortable to be yourself? You know, so I have to, you know, find ways to show it by being willing to learn the other person and be there for them, you know, without any strings attached. You know, just want to show them that I want the best for them, you know, without any hidden agenda. Advice I would give to a Black woman is, first of all, really understand the man you're dealing with. Learn your man. You know, really learn their struggles, their upbringing, the do's and don'ts. It's hard being a man. It's hard being a Black man, especially coming from certain situations we come from. A lot of baggage I brought into my marriage my wife didn't understand. And I think that if you really take time to know your man and just learn him, you can be a better help. I know Black women naturally, you know, are loving and they want to help. They want to be that nourishment, and a lot of us don't know how to accept it. A lot of us don't know how to receive that, because a lot of us are still walking around grown with little boy issues. We're still broken. We're still dealing with not having an identity. A lot of us, you know, you look at people that live the lifestyle I used to live, where I didn't even change my life until I was 30, 31, 32. You know, so getting into a marriage, I brought a whole different way of thinking of what a man was into the marriage. And I believe that can cause conflict because, you know, she doesn't understand that. And that all came back from just really taking it beyond just communicating, you know, and learning your man. And to be honest, Black women, we need you. You know, we want you. We want to make it work. A lot of us really don't know how. I'm not saying that y'all need to teach us and hold our hands, but just have a level of understanding that you might be dealing with somebody who wasn't exposed to what you want. And we do need help. You know, we need help. We need help with communicating. We need help to understand how to be loved properly. We need help to learn how to put our guards down. You know, to me, you know, love is making myself completely vulnerable to a person and hoping that they don't use it against me. And most men, you know, especially Black men, if we're honest, you know, we have that woman that we trust and we love, you know, that woman becomes our kryptonite in a sense. We give her every tool that she needs to destroy us. We give her the keys to our emotions, you know, our thoughts, you know, our hearts. We hand it over, and that's not easy. You know, it's not easy to just make yourself completely vulnerable to a person, whether it's your wife or not. And when we do it, you know, it's like you literally gained a level of trust that most people are not going to reach in our lives. And, you know, I mean, like, if men, to be honest, you know, we front all day long in the streets. You know, we front around our friends and we try to live up to a certain, this is what I am, you know, and once we make it home, it's like, I can take the armor off. You know, I don't got a front, I'm home, I'm safe, I made it, you know. And our mind is like, okay, when I made it and I don't want to, and I take my armor off, you know, I'm like, I'm at peace, I want peace. You know, I don't want to have to go home and put my armor back on. You know, especially when it's your wife, the person that you trust or you love. And I think for women, it's just really understand, you know, who you're with. Understand the struggles and his pains, because until you really understand what he's been through or the struggles or the demons he might mentally face is going to keep being a clash. And as for men, you know, we have to get to a position to where we're willing to open up to our women and have them discussions, you know, to allow our hard shield to become vulnerable. I said my advice is just, you know, really search for understanding of who your man is. Once you get understanding, you know, of who he is, what he's been through, what his struggles is, what's his goods and his bads, then you have equipped yourself beyond what's normal for you to really be that help to him. You know, and once that bond is built and really properly put in place, you know, continue to grow together. You know, it'll be a beautiful thing. Man, it's the level of importance for that is unmeasured. You know, I came from like a broken home. You know, I didn't grow with either one of my parents in the home. I have kids by different women, you know, outside of my wife. The importance of our Black homes to stay intact, we need it. For decades, years, you know, we've been targeted and we're constantly thrown into the spotlight about how we're not together, how many fathers are not in the home. You know, they constantly show us so many negative images of the Black man, the Black woman, the Black home. They constantly push, you know, the fatherless homes. You know, they constantly push agendas that constantly tear the Black homes down. So for us to stay together and really show a different life, you know, a different image is important because our kids need it. Our kids need to see that what they're taught and what they're exposed to is not our lives. You know, that's not how we all think. That's not how we all live. That's not normalized to everybody. And our youth need to see it. For people who have kids in other homes, you know, that doesn't mean that you can't operate as a unit. You know, they're still your children. You know, your children should still interact with their siblings, even if they're not in the same home. You know, that we have embraced this mental conditioning that if we're not in the same home, we can't operate as a unit, or we can't be family, or our love is different, or you love them more than you love me. You know, and we have to get out of that way of thinking and show a different way. And how we show it is by our families operating as a family. I love getting my kids together, you know, calling them, picking them up. Hey, we're gonna go do this, just to show them that family love, that family bond, that family support. I love when I see Black families out interacting in a positive way, you know, enjoying the family, because it goes against the narrative that so many try to push on us. You know, so many try to push that we can't act civilized together. You know, and some of us embrace that narrative, oh, my family get together, it's gonna be a fight. You know, they don't know how to act. You know, we've been conditioned to really look at ourselves like that. And the importance of keeping our families together and operating as a family is really to combat that narrative. You know, it's time for us to rewrite the story, you know, and put us back in our position that we were at. Like, you know, we're a family. We're operating as a family. We stand as a family. You know, we live as a family. We support each other as a family. And when that really becomes the view and the focus point of the Black family, you know, you'll see a lot of things change within our families, within our communities. You know, it's needed. You know, them kids that don't have that structure need to see that as possible. You know, there's a lot of people that came from broken homes that idolize, you know, the homes when they see both of the parents. You know, it's a lot of people that they're looking for hope, and us operating as a unit in love as a family, it gives hope to those who don't have it. You know, you have people, I remember I used to call them the Cosbys. You know, I met Cosby families. I was like, oh, them you guys like the Huxtables. You know, even though we made jokes, but it was really something that we wanted to achieve. You know, so the importance of the Black family has to be held high. It has to be a priority across the board. You know, Black men, Black women, Black kids, Black elders, Black youth. together as a family, once we stand and really understand the concept of loving each other and building each other and holding each other together as a family, when that happens, we won't be stopped. And everything we do, everything we push to be successful. But it all starts with us changing our mind state individually, coming together as a true Black family. We dealt with each other that much. One of the only houses my grandma let me go to out there when I was a kid. I remember their family came from Mexico, and for like 2 weeks they wouldn't really interact with me. I noticed things changed. So when they left, I asked them like, what happened? And they was like, my cousins and stuff, they're scared of you. And I'm like, why? They was like, because you're dark. And I'm like, what? And they was like, well, we've been taught that the darker a person's skin, the more vicious they are. And they was like, they look at you like, like a vicious dog. And it was kind of like, it was hurtful then. I'm like, man. But as I got older, I realized that us as Blacks have conditioned ourselves with that same concept, to where we look at people, that are darker differently. And I was telling my friend that, and they didn't believe me, so I gave them an example. I said, growing up, say if you're walking down the street, say it's like 8:30, it's not really dark, but it's getting there, and you see 6 light-skinned guys on the corner. Our first thought is, oh, the pretty boy. I would think, they out there probably waiting on some girl, you know what I'm saying? But it's not a threat. But if you walk down that same street and it's 6 gentlemen on the corner that's dark skin complected, people cross the street, turn around, we're gonna avoid that group, because our mind went to, oh, they must be up to no good. They're up to, just troublemakers, or it just becomes negative. And then I realized, like, we've done that to ourselves a lot. We look at the darker skinned men, they were considered the aggressive ones. Like, oh, he looked like he can, like, well, and then the light skin was the pretty boys automatically. That guy can be vicious or whatever it was, but we didn't look at him like that. So we've taught ourselves to judge our own people by the tone of their skin. And if we're looking at ourselves like that, if I can look at somebody that's part of my lineage differently because of their skin tone, it's like, how does that really speak for where our mind is as a whole? Worse for darker women. Well, at least, as like growing up, nobody wanted to be the chocolate girl. She was automatically considered ugly, ghetto hood. It was like everything that dealt with the chocolate girls was negative. And everybody assumed, oh, the pretty girl is mixed, or she's light skinned with good hair. It was like, when it came to women, it was like the darker sisters had so much more to prove. It's like they had to be so much better in things to even be accepted as, somebody that a person really wanted to deal with, or even like, like nobody looked at the dark girl as somebody they wanted to be with. Well, I'm gonna try to talk to her. It was like being picked for the game, and you were gonna be last. I have beautiful sisters that are dark complected, and even friends, and I know a lot of them still had complexes because of how society viewed them, and not just outsiders, even inside. It's families now where I've seen it, where family members that target the darker ones in their own family. It's like we have really embraced tearing our own down to the point of, we're aiming and we're using racist insults to our own people. It's like we've really been conditioned to judge our own people off their skin tone. It's like we have to get out of everything we do is us against them, and we're all the same. And I'm not even talking about other races. I'm talking about us as Blacks, as African Americans, however you want to identify it. How how can we really rise above something when we use so many different tools to tear each other down? You know, for us to look at another African American individual and judge them basically off their skin tone lets us know that we're operating with the same racist mind state and intent of the people that we claim to go against. You know, I think people need to realize that it's a lot of us in our communities who are wearing home jerseys and are playing for the visitors. So it's going to take a lot of us to really address some issues, to really wake up, you know, and become what we need to be.